All right, welcome everyone to another daily market review. Today is Thursday, February the 5th. Well, it's almost Friday. Recording the video late again, but anyway, Thursday, February the 5th. Just had a very interesting day on the S&P 500. Let's go ahead and start with the futures. So, I think you guys remember um, last time we were discussing this, I was discussing this, was when I said we get touch number one, we get touch number two, three, four, five. Like how many more? I did say that touch number five is a guaranteed breakdown. That's exactly what we got. I was a little bit conservative with my targets. I was thinking we do have this as our target for just Thursday. You know, that's kind of a big move for one day. We did go lower, much lower than that. So instead of 6,820, sort of 20ish, we went to six all the way down to 6,775, 760 something. So lower than that. Regardless, I was right that it's a. If we come here, we break down. I think I explained it yesterday for what reasons is you get touch number one, touch number two, touch number three, sort of, fool me once, fool me twice, fool me thrice, fourth time, and then fourth time it's a very big, it's a very high possibility that it's gonna break down from here. And then if not, then five, you're gonna get your money back. But just make sure you cannot. I never, this is a very important disclaimer, I never use this kind of approach where I count the number of touches to the support or resistance line before guessing, because it is an educated guess, before guessing if it's going to break down, break out. I do it on the hourly or higher. I do not go on the 15-minute time frame for that, because the only time when I do use 15 minutes time frame is for when I'm looking sort of exactly at what's happening at the level. I'm looking at the price behavior, price action around level or so. I don't judge. Let me explain it in detail. So in here, this is not touch number one, touch number two, touch number three, touch number four, touch number five, and so on. So this is just one touch, because on the hourly, you could see it's just one touch. Even though you have 2 weeks, two candles, it's still just one touch. So do not make that mistake. So treat this as one touch. It left, and then if it would have come here, I would treat it as another touch right here, but it did not. So this was touch number five, and this was the, I think I said almost 100% guarantee, although there's nothing guaranteed in trading, but I did say it's almost a guarantee, almost 100% that we're breaking down and coming all the way here. Other than that, if we would have come here, then given the structure right here, given the amount of liquidity we've taken, clearly, we would have just sort of went sideways and then come up here. But my first choice was this, so got that. Pretty happy with that. Let me just get rid of the drawings for now. I think we established what was the thought process behind that, right? So touch number one, two, three, four, five. This is a touch, even though it didn't really touch it. I would count it as a touch given how swift it was. This, no, even though you could say it's almost the same, but you'll learn it with time. This takes time. Sort of looking at the price and just recognizing what's a touch, what's a test, what's not. Anyway, so how you could have played it is you knew that we're breaking down here, so you could have just shorted right here. Otherwise, if you want more of a confirmation, you would have waited for it to close below on the hourly, and then once it's here, lost the level, right, this one, you would short from here. So either if you're impatient, you could come here, although that's riskier, but then you don't lose the opportunity. Or if you don't mind waiting, come here. I think I shorted right here because this happened at like 4 a.m. I was still sleeping. So yeah, so that's that. Now let's think on what we have playing for us. Let's see. It looks like after gaining this level, after breaking above it, we only really, I don't know if I'll count this as a test, we only tested it once. But so with testing, I don't only look at the number of touches, I also look at the number of at the amount of time the price spent at the level, and I also look at the speed, at how fast it leaves the area, and then essentially I look at how far it goes after that. So let's say I'll explain this in more detail in my educational video, but let's say if it only comes here and then comes back, that's not very good at all. That's taking away points from how strong the level is. But if it goes there and makes new breaks above the previous highs, that's still a very strong level. So given that it's only had really one touch, I don't know if I'm gonna count this one. So I'm gonna say had one touch, also had a very, very, very strong uptrend after reaching that level. I think it also made all-time high after that. Yes, all-time high. Let's go and just draw this quickly. All-time high. Not good at this. Anyway, all-time high. For these reasons, I'm gonna say that I do expect us to get some kind of a upside move. But tomorrow is Friday. I think you know how tricky Fridays are. I usually skip them, or I think that it's gonna be a very narrow range kind of day. So I'm either expecting this from here, or let me mark those green so it's easier to differentiate, or I'm expecting this sort of move coming all the way to this level, the one that we had mapped out yesterday, the one that would be the fifth touch from the above, the breakdown. So either this or that. I don't think I believe that it could go much lower than this. Let me see. Let's hide the drawings. Let's get out the VWAP, the monthly. Not telling anything. Is it? Let's see. The volume profile as well. Let's see if there's. Yep. It's a high volume node right here. See this distribution? Right here. A lot of action here. So, and we only really touched just once right here. So I do think it's gonna give us a bounce, even if it's only gonna be to here. Most likely it comes to here. Could only stop here. That's also a possibility, but it's more likely to bounce rather than not. And I know we already kind of bounced for Thursday. We had an upside move, but I do think it could go a little bit higher. Other than that, I think we could just go sideways for Friday, because it's Friday, it's the end of the week. A lot of times we get a narrow range sideways chop, very typical of Fridays, at least in my experience. Anyway, that's that. Let's get to S&P 500, the ETF. Same thing really. Was expecting it to come a little bit higher, but I guess we already touched the level from here and just drop, and that's what we got. And just like with the futures, it did go lower than that. I was thinking this is the target for now, but in just one day it went much lower. So severe move. Let's get rid of the drawings, and let's let's go ahead and map out pretty much the same thing. I'm just gonna switch to daily. I have this daily zone all the way from November 2025. This is one test, although we did close below it, which is not great, making it weaker. So, although, hold on, I'm gonna walk back on this. We did gain it from there. We lost it right here. We lost it here. We went below, and then we gained. We closed inside, and then we closed above. So yeah, it's kind of getting new life from here. So this is touch number 1. This is touch number 2. I do think we can get a little high upside move right here. Sorry, not sure what that was. Right here before eventually coming here. I don't know. That's kind of the pattern that I'm seeing. But let me just let me redraw this so it looks cleaner on the hourly. 1 second, please. 1 second. So somewhere from here, something like this maybe. Or again, given that it's Friday, maybe that. And let's make it red. I don't know if I would expect it to go much lower for tomorrow. It could eventually dip lower if you look at the... Let me get rid of all the drawings for a second. Let me hide them. It could at this point, because it's making a... See? It's making sort of equal low or even lower low. You could say it's a lower low right here. You could say that we could eventually come right here. 671. I think this is my final destination right here. Or we just go sideways. So that's that. So pretty good on the S&P, on the ETF and the futures. Bitcoin, not so much. Again, that's funny, right? Because on Wednesday I had it backwards. I had it the other way. I was good on Bitcoin. I had it correct for Bitcoin, but I made a mistake on the S&P 500. Now I had it correct on the S&P 500, but I made a mistake on Bitcoin. I was expecting it to... I did say don't buy here just yet, don't open longs, but I was thinking we are gonna go sideways for the rest of the week. I wasn't expecting for Bitcoin to break down this level so easily. Let me get rid of this. This was a mistake. I admit that. I'm not afraid of admitting when I'm wrong. That's not a problem. Making money is what we're after, not after being scared of making mistakes. Let's see right here on the daily. Very surprising for me, to be honest, because you could say this zone right here, let's say it's one zone, let's say it's not two different zones, you could say that it was tested here, sort of in the way, but it really wasn't. And then for the price to just come right here and not have any kind of move to sideways or a V-shaped bounce, but just to plow through in this fashion non-stop in one big daily candle, that's surprising. That's unusual. Regardless, let me go ahead, let me use higher time frame indicators. So for VWAP, let's choose yearly, 12 months. For volume profile, let's go ahead and choose 3 months, so quarterly. Those are the important ones. I usually go daily. I almost never use. I go 1 week, 1 month, or 3 months, and then 12 months sometimes. And same with VWAP. I'll explain later what is VWAP. I think I kind of touched on what is PVP, the volume profile, the periodic volume profile in my earlier videos, but I'll also get to VWAP in some other educational videos as well, and I'll come back to the volume profile and how I use it. But not to get distracted, did have high volume node here, but I don't see really any kind of reaction apart from this little weak right here that was trying to get back to it, to get rejected. Let's go ahead and change it to 12 months. Just trying to understand myself. I don't trade crypto much these days, the last 3-4 months or so, but I do look at it just for just being, you know, just curious. This is what I do. This is what I'm interested in. So a huge volume cluster right here, right? You see it right here. Let me create a zone. Let's do a little experiment. We create a zone. Let's map it out blue. Fill blue as well, just for the future. And what I'm gonna do is, I think, right? So my thought process is that this is the zone, and you could, if I hide this, you could kind of see how much trading has been done in here, meaning that there is a lot of volume traded in here, meaning that there is a lot of there are a lot of people who sold here, a lot of people, you could say entities, whatever, right? So there's been a lot of selling here, there's been a lot of buying here, so a lot of trading here. So this is a zone of interest. This is somewhere where you could expect a reaction. I'm not gonna get into the mechanics right now, if it's stop orders being triggered or if it's buyers stepping in to protect their buys or whatever. I'm just not gonna get into the explanation for now. I'll just tell you that most of the time this works. And I'm gonna map it out as a huge 12-month high volume node and see if it's gonna give us the reaction, the eventual reaction, which is gonna be either we're gonna go sideways, right? That's the worst scenario right here. Of course, I could always be wrong and it could go even lower from here, but I think the 60s we go sideways for at least a few weeks, or the good scenario is you do come here, maybe even higher to here, but unlikely, most likely here, before going lower, and that's gonna be your good scenario in this case. Let me map it out a little bit better, and let's make it green. That's gonna be the positive scenario in this case, and the red one sideways, it's gonna be the, so those are the things that I see. I don't see Bitcoin just sort of going long from here and then going up. No evidence of that happening, nothing that would make me think that's possible, but given the high volume node right here, it is possible we're gonna spend a lot of time here instead of just falling right through. Another reason why I don't think we're gonna keep just falling down is because after such a violent move, and by violent I mean sharp sudden move in just a matter of days, a lot of big distance, right? After that, I don't expect for it to fall much more before getting a breather, getting a pause, or even trying to go for a little upside move, and then eventually I do think it's gonna fall. I don't think it's gonna hold, just because of the macro context and everything. And then looking at the VWAP, the annual, yeah, closed right about here. So also another confluence right here, that this is the zone where we could see some breather, some room for Bitcoin to go sideways instead of just falling. So this is the place where you could buy some spot for your long-term bags if you're planning to hold it for a few months, for several months, for a year, for a few years. If you're a long-term buyer, this could be a good spot to add some Bitcoin. Or um, if you're planning to trade, if you're a scalper, you could probably get a lot of out of this range right here. Or other than that, if you're, swing trader, you could try to go for a long here, targeting maybe 76, 75, although you could close at 70 as well, and just forget it, and maybe short from here if it comes here. So these are the thoughts for Bitcoin. Given the recent volatility, I'm not trying to map out my thoughts just for Friday. Hard to predict right now. Maybe it comes here and just falls from there, sort of goes sideways after that. I don't know. Yeah, so that's what I have for Bitcoin, and then I covered the S&P 500, and then the educational video on how I draw levels, how I decide if they're good, if they're but bad, how I look at the price action and how it behaves around the levels. I'm gonna post that video, publish that tomorrow, I think, on Friday. Again, thank you so much for tuning in, and have a great Friday.